Now, it's nice to load our list of persons like this, but this is actually not the recommended way of doing it. Instead, you should use something which is called a lifecycle hook. Each Angular component goes through a lifecycle. And going through the entire lifecycle and how it works and which hooks are available in detail is too much for this refresher. But you can dive into the official Angular docs under angular.io, fundamentals, components, templates, lifecycle hooks, to learn more about the lifecycle and which hooks exist. These are essentially methods you can add to your component, and Angular will execute them for you when it reaches that hook. You do this in a two-step process. First of all, you implement the so-called interface. That is a TypeScript feature again now. It's a contract which your class signs basically, which kind of forces your class to implement a certain functionality. And here I'll implement the onInit interface. You now need to import onInit from @Angular core. And now we get an error because this forces us to add the ng-onInit method. And that is the initialization lifecycle hook which Angular will execute when it creates our component. And yes, it does so for the constructor too, but it is a best practice to do basically all your initialization tasks in here and not in the constructor. For example, it's then easier to write tests for this component. So here, we could now get our persons from the person service. But the problem is the person service is only available in the constructor. Well, we can simply create a new property, maybe a private property here even, which I'll name person service, and which will be of type person service. And in the constructor, we can simply say this person service is equal to PRS service. And now we make this available component-wide or class-wide with the help of this property. Private only means we cannot access this from inside the template, which you shouldn't, and you cannot access it from other components, which you also don't want to. And now here we can simply say this person list is equal to this person service dot persons. Now, side note, this is such a common pattern that you have such a property and you then just store an argument of your constructor in this property, that there is a shortcut. Instead of doing it like this, you can simply prefix or add private or public, that would work too for a public property, but you can add private in our case here in front of the argument name to create a property with that same name in your class. So I'll comment this out, and now we will still have a PRS service property in the whole class because it gets created automatically here. Now if I save all of that, you will still see our list of persons here. Now that's nice. We can now access that data and we do it with the help of a lifecycle hook. How can we now also add a person with a service?